Hello, everyone. Welcome to 2024 Watch Movies Not Film Festival Talk Deck Talk session. My name is John, the moderator for today's Talk Deck Talk session. Today, we have participants from three selected films of this year's Sarawak Shots. So Sarawak Shot is an open to all segment, inviting Sarawak filmmakers worldwide to submit their works, which are then shortlisted by our selection committee. And this year, we are thrilled to share six outstanding short films with you. So tonight we have three of the film's representative here. And let us begin by having everyone introduce yourself, your role in the film, and give us a brief introduction to your film. And yeah, how about we start with Sydney?
Hello. For anyone watching this right now, if I look like I'm winking, I'm not actually winking. Unfortunately, like a week ago, I have Bell's palsy, so my left side of my face is paralyzed. So I can only move this side. Okay, I'm Sydney from Ensra Creative. I'm the director, editor for CIKGU ASSOM, The Last Day, wasn't it? Yes. So that one was a one-man show. I literally just two camera in my hands, shooting the whole thing. So yeah, just wanted to capture something that is very meaningful and only happens once in a lifetime of my dad's retirement. Yeah.
I'm so sorry to hear that, Sydney. Hope you feel better soon. So next up we have Catriona.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me here tonight. So I am an artist and curator. I'm originally from the UK, but I've been based in Sarawak since 2009. So I am back in the UK at the moment, which is now why it's nice and bright. So yeah, I'm based in Sarawak, and I generally do curation and working with communities. So this is really my first time that I've produced a film and created it in Sarawak. Well, actually in Sabah, but presented it in Sabah. Um, Previously, I made work in the UK, so filmmaking has been a part of my process. But after I moved to Sarawak in 2009, it's not a medium that I used. But JAMIN is basically a land art piece of work, which is documented through drone and film photography. And it's about the land rights of Sabah. So when Sabah was formed, there was an agreement and an oath stone that was created that had the word Kerajaan Malaysia JAMIN. And those promises over the life of Malaysia haven't necessarily been honoured. So we worked with paddy planting. We spelt out the word jamming, and then we documented it through film, and we made a 11-minute film with Jun Khan as our director and filmmaker, which is about the production of the artwork.
And we have Lee with us.
Hi
Go ahead, Lee.
everyone. First of all, I want to tell you that this movie actually is for the purpose of the uh, work together between our company and the student, the local university student. Okay, so basically we are the 3D animation company studio in Kuching. We are doing the specialized in 3D animation and the creative director for this short film 3D animation.
So, well, we have the brief introduction of each filmmakers, each of their role in the film, and we have some background story. So, first up, we have Jeku Azom, The Last Day. Joining us is Sydney Ating, who served as the director and editor of this film. So, question for you, Sydney. From what we've learned and the information we gathered, we see that Jeku Azom is your father. What inspired you to pick up the camera and document all this?
Both my parents are teachers. So I grew up in Serato and I went to school where my father taught. So after that, I end up becoming a teacher myself. I went to teachers training. And then once I finished training, I go back to schools. I also got posted in the same area, which is in Serato.
Mm.
And then I haven't done anything yet, but everybody is already looking at me like some great teacher just because of the reputation of my parents being great teachers. So that is like I've heard of it. I've heard that they are very well respected in their field, but I didn't know it was up to that extent that I get affected by it. So that is when I realized, oh, you know what? Yeah, they are really great teachers. and I really wanna have something that is uh to remember that long career uh of my dad's. And also, if you look at the ending of the short film, something that he thought he would, have, but life didn't go that way. So
Mm.
I really wanted to capture that and be able to look at that in the future and see, oh, that was it. And now he's retired. He it's hard to like recalibrate your life after having done that pretty much your whole life. So now I can always show it back to him. This is what you did. You can rest now. Just rest. You've done a lot for the Iban community here.
Right.
That's pretty much.
I guess a very similar question to you, Catriona. So Jamin is undoubtedly a very special creation, combining your ideas and practice, then presented through the visuals of director Junkan. Can you share with us the creative process of this project? And as a British person based in Sarawak, what drove you to film such a work in Sabah? Let it be emotional or any perspective.
So the film is based on an artwork called JAMIN as well, which was created with myself and Gindung McFeddy Simon, who is an artist and musician who's based in Ranau in Sabah, and that's where the work was created. So he lives in a village called Kampong Kilumu, which is a rural village, and it's it's surrounded by paddy fields. So rice planting is a hugely important part of that region. And if you go there between October and March of every year, the landscape is just incredible. Now, obviously, across Southeast Asia, rice is such a significant part of the culture. But if you know about Sabah, for them, rice is actually the legend for them, for many communities. The idea is that rice came from Homenudin, who was a deity, and she sacrificed herself when there was a famine. So she sacrificed herself for the community, and from her body came yam, came tapioca, came ginger, maize, and rice, which I just thought was this wonderful story. And so rice has really been playing on my mind since then. And then as I learned more about Sabbath history, and it's got a very complicated history as much of Borneo Island does, that I realized that there was a conversation to be had on the land with Rice about these issues. And so me and Gindon spoke to his family. They allowed us to create the work on their ancestral land. And then Junkan came on board as the director, as a filmmaker, as a drone operator as well. So it was really through the stories that Gindon shared with me, through our artistic conversation, and obviously getting a wonderful team together who really saw the vision in the work.
All right. So next up, we have Lee from Love Is Never Too Late. We were incredibly excited when we received the submission of an animated short film because the inclusion of animation brings a different kind of vitality to our filmmaking industry. So can you
Yes.
share with us the motivation behind creating this film?
Yeah, basically when we trying to do all this, especially this, the love is never too late. Last year we received 10 internships from local university, 2 from UTS, and 8 from Unimast. So this 8 student, 10 students come from this local university. When they report to us, what we are thinking is, first thing is, what are we provide any services or provide any training for them, especially they are going to graduate. So among our director and our team, we discuss. So I want to give them a task. We divide into 3 groups actually. Okay, 3 groups that do the different story, different topic also. So this group of people, when we sit down and we discuss with them, they are saying that, okay, after 3 months, we're going to celebrate the Chinese New Year already. So why don't we do one topic for Chinese New Year? We're going to launch right before Chinese New Year. So they agree also. So these 3 students, they actually come up with an idea together with us, and then we discuss, and then we start on this project in 3D animation type. Okay. Why I want to do this kind of 3D animation is because I want them to learn from A to Z. Okay, not only partial. I don't want to let them to just learn partial only. Don't want let them to just learning on modeling. Not only the animating, but they learn from A to Z, the whole short film, including the sound effect. Okay, so that is our intention when we accept all this internship to our company. That is the opportunity for them when you come to industry, especially on the animation industry, so that they can learn the full set or full package of the how to create or how to produce animation movie in Sarawak.
Let me go back to Sydney. So, regarding this film, CIKGU ASSOM The Last Day, do you think it was easier or more challenging to film someone as familiar as your father? Or what other challenges did you face in capturing this subject?
It's easier in terms of like I know some of the things that he would say. I know some of the jokes, yeah. So I kind of like am prepared to shoot it. But he did surprise me towards the end of the short film because I've never seen my father in that position. I've never seen him crying. I've never seen that. So that
Mm.
was like shocking. I didn't know, should I continue shooting this and about to show this to the rest of the world, or stop this because I don't want people to see this. He probably don't want people to see this. So it's both. In some parts it's makes it easier because I know the person so well, but they can they can still shock you because even the best actors sometimes when you put them on camera, different things happen. People just somehow changes when they are in front of a camera if they're not used to it or they're not prepared for it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, understood. So
Yep.
this is definitely one of the difficulties, right? Because sometimes it's one thing to talk to one person, and sometimes it just doesn't work their way when you have to communicate with them on another medium, or you have to communicate with them in another way. So coming back to Catriona, you are both an art creator and a producer yourself. How did you choose the director and reach a consensus on creative vision, especially regarding some narrative ideas? Like, for example, what's the concept of using only visual storytelling and the environmental sound design, your initial idea, or was it developed through discussions with the director, Junkan?
So Junkan, I actually met. I'd worked previously with Nova Go, who was a Sarawakian filmmaker, but working quite extensively in Sabah.
Mm,
And so he recommended Junkan. And the first time that I met him was actually the day before that we were about to do the harvesting. So we talked through the process, but it was very much an organic kind of way of making. And yes, I'm an artist. Yes, I've done film before, but I'd never done drone photography before. And I've got a very strong vision of what I want. So I guess Junkan was our camera person and he did all of the editing. It's an art film. I guess I sort of took quite a strong lead in the direction of what I wanted.
mm,
But there's obviously the limitations in my knowledge. So I didn't have things like a storyboard or a shot list.
mm,
So Junkan was having to be very organic and creative on the spot. But I'm really happy with the results that we managed to get. JAMIN is kind of like a day in the life of the harvesting with lots of little moments and referencing towards Sabah culture in the process. So at one point in the video, we go to a market and we buy chickens.
mm,
And people watching the film might not understand why we're going to buy chickens. And one of the reasons is because traditionally in Sabah, if someone was to help you out and to work with you, you would pay them by giving them a chicken as a offering for them. at the same time, you would also give a chicken if you had wronged someone as a type of soget, as a communal payment. So in the video, you might see one of the old men is actually not very keen to take the chicken from me because he thinks that I am saying that I've done something wrong and I'm offering. So yeah, I think I'm going off topic from the actual question, but really the idea and the discussion that we had was very much day in the life of, and then Junkan took what he could with all of those moments and put together Jamin as a film.
So speaking of which, Lee, I do have a question for you, right? So many people there, especially here locally, they might be unfamiliar with the process of creating animation. Can you share what some of the biggest challenges in making this film, especially an animated one?
Yeah, of course, we have still facing a lot of challenges, okay? Because this is dealing with all these computer things, okay? Because we are doing the animation. Of course, my team, we have always had a discussion among ourselves. Of course, the first thing is we need to create the idea first. What is the idea you want to produce? Okay, like this Chinese New Year movie. Okay, the first thing is you had to identify the topic first. From the topic, then we start on the start to write the script. Okay, within few days. Okay, after that we had to distribute the work to different people. Then we had to do the modeling. We had to do the animating. Of course, the difficult part is the sound recording. Okay, we are not specialized in sound actually, sound effect. Okay, the dialogue in between two people or what, you know. In this movie, actually, we are involved in four characters: mom, dad, and then Ajay, and then the last one is the Andy there. So we need to have all this sound recording basically. So we are not specialized on that basically. Okay, that is very challenges to us. But anyway, this group of people actually they never disappoint me. Okay, we are creating something like so-called acceptable type of content. Basically, we have a lot of discussion every Friday. We have to sit down and then we had the group discussion, and then a lot encouraging to them, and then I ask them that make sure that this is the Sarawak type of a short film. We need to have some Sarawak elements and product inside our animation. Make sure that this cannot be left behind. So within 3 months, we managed to complete it actually, the whole process. It's very challenging.
Well, yeah, kudos to you and the team, because making a film is not easy, right? And this question goes to Sydney. Since you also took on the role of an editor, of the editor of this film, we've heard that filmmaking is a three-stage process: writing, shooting, editing, like Lee mentioned earlier. So during the editing phase, were there any interesting experiences you can share with us? For example, the difference between the footages you managed to capture compared to what you initially had in mind.
In terms of the editing for CIKGU ASSOM, I didn't have a lot of issues with that because I was shooting it myself. So because I know that I'm gonna edit my own video, the way that I shoot it already makes it easier for me to edit later because I know I'm already thinking of the edit while I'm shooting. So for me, the editing process for CIKGU ASSOM was quite smooth. Even though it was more like an impromptu shoot, it's not completely, line by line. I set the scene, need to do this, need to do that. I was basically just following along what happens on that day. But everything that happened, I can sense like, okay, I'm just gonna put it here, put it here. I have a basic storyline. And it wasn't too difficult. I think the most challenging, if you even consider that challenging, is just to decide which one is not necessary. Because I feel like I want to show everything, but of course you can't show everything. And I have to consider the perspective of someone who does not know my father.
Mm.
because if I just tell something of an inside joke, nobody would get it because so I have to make sure that whatever I include have to make sense for a general audience and not just for me. Yeah.
Mm. Well, thank you for your insight, Sydney. And for those of you who don't know, Sydney is also the creator of Shirley and Nomi, bukan Iban. So thank you once again, Sydney. So next up, Catriona, as a follow-up to Jabin, how are the residents shown in the film doing now? Can you share with us their current situation?
So the film Jamin was filmed in November, is correct. No, we planted November 2022. We harvested it in March of 2022. So this film is from March 2022. Sorry, 2023. I'm time traveling here. We planted in November 2022. We harvested in March of 2023, and that's when this Jamin was produced. But Jamin, as I said, is actually it's a piece of land art. So the film that you see is a documentation of the harvesting process, but there's a very long narrative to it. And because it's a piece of land art, and because it's talking about Indigenous land rights, and because it's using rice as a medium, it wasn't just a one-off event. In November of last year, we planted again, and we harvested again of March of this year. And in that time, we had two exhibitions of the work featuring the film and the photographic series and the actual rice. And we actually took the work to KL, and we took some of the soil from the paddy over to KL with the idea it's a piece of land art. It's talking about land rights. Let's take actual Sabahan land to KL so that the whole message of the work can't be ignored. But yes, so jumping back to the actual the community that we're working with. So the farmers that were present on that day and a part of the film also were there when we did the initial planting. The old man that you see is one of Gindon's neighbours, and he looks through at the paddy all the way through both years. And so when we were doing the harvesting and when we did the original planting, I think he thought it was a very curious idea. And to be honest, he was watching us doing this planting and see all of this wasted space. Because we're writing out the word jamming, obviously you need to have a lot of empty water. So as a farmer, it seems very, very much a waste. And then he watched it grow and he joined in the harvest. And then when we went to do the planting the next year, he turned to me and he said, well, what are you writing this year? And that for me really was a moment. I thought, this guy, he gets it. He sees we're doing something interesting. There's a message which is, going beyond me as an artist, as an arts practitioner, and a rural community member who's a farmer, also thinks this is worth saying something. So they're resting at the moment. In November, we'll be planting again. So I can ask them what they think we should plant next time.
Oh, just so we are on the same page, this is 2024. And yeah. So
Thanks for that. Yeah.
I'd like to thank you for your contribution, Katrina, in highlighting and sharing the stories of Sarawakian and this time around Sabahan. Last question goes to Lee. Were there any reference or inspirations that influenced the creation of this work?
Yeah, in fact, actually, we don't have any specific film or project as a reference, but just purely thinking of go back home, okay, as a starting point. Okay, from that starting point, people like us, from Kampong, people, we always had to flying to, let's say, to KL to study. Okay, during New Year time, we actually very thinking of go back home because we are miss hometown, we are miss our parents, and then of course the local food also. I miss the gambuang also, we are based on that kind of starting point. From there, then we start to elaborate or expand the story into a son basically working in KL after finish his study. So during New Year time, because of a lot of reason, maybe busy or work. So, but the parent actually very miss him to hope him can come back. So actually, it's quite a simple type of story, but it's a very meaningful story lah. Oh.
Well, once again, huge bravo to you and your team for making this happen, and thank you for your insights. And we hope this serves as an inspiration to those who always have a passion or simply just like to try out animation. So you can do it too, right? That's our last question of today. But before I let you go, I have one last question for all of you, right? So what are your hopes for filmmaking in Sarawak? Like, what do you wish to see the most in the local film industry?
Three things. First is we need to have a union. Having a union and a proper structure for the whole workers would help with a lot of things in terms of payment, in terms of workers' right, in terms of everything, making the industry healthier and more regulated in the terms that everybody gets a better fair treatment. I wouldn't guarantee fair treatment, but at least it's moving towards that if there's a system like a union. Second thing is we need to have a check and balance. So we need to have the film critic side. And when I say movie critics, I don't say some guy on a comment saying, "Oh, I don't like this video." I'm talking about like film lab. I'm talking about a proper criticism. I'm talking about a proper forum talking about and analyzing film and being mindful about what we create in the future and analyzing what we've done and then how do we move forward from there. So criticism, film critic is an important, for me, an important part of creating film also. Third is to have better and more diverse and better representation of ethnics in media. So like for me being an Iban, in terms of representation of Ibans in media, it's still lacking. There's a lot of facts that are not right at all, not even close. So there needs to be, we need to do something about that to make sure that we are representing ethnics properly and respectfully and accurately. So I don't know how yet, but we need to work something for that.
It's just one small step at a time, but we'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
And Katrina, do you have anything you would like to add to this question?
So for me, in the last 10, 15 years, I've seen the Sarawakian filmmaking community really grow and some fantastic stuff coming out. From an artist perspective, I think film is an incredible medium to use in the art field as well. So I would like to see creatives producing more experimental work. Documentaries are brilliant, but I think we can go beyond that. We can use a lot of the adat and the tradition that we have in Borneo to tell really interesting stories and perspectives. So yeah, I think taking it into the next realm and being a bit more creative and experimental with film would be incredible for the whole community. But in general, I absolutely agree with everything that was said previously. We need to build a community and we need to document communities and empower rural communities to tell their stories as much, not have urban viewers to go there and tell their stories for them.
Right, and Lee, do you have any take on this?
Actually, when I involved in this 3D animation industry, I realized that actually Sarawak, no much sign of people doing it. We are considered one and only one in Sarawak. Okay, but I realized that a lot of so-called the potential animator, they are very creative, but actually they can't work in Sarawak, okay, because of lack of fund and then also a lack of platform for them to produce their product. Okay, so I hope that in future this creative industry can have more focus on this innovation also. I also hope that the government also can have some more grant for them. At least they can have sustainability and then they can have more creative product in our local industry.
And with that said, our talk session today has come to a conclusion. And a quick announcement to those who have missed both of the Sarawak short screenings at Watch Movies Not Film Festival 2024, which just concluded yesterday. They will be shown again during our nationwide tour in Kuching, Miri, and KL. You're welcome to see them again at this location, right? And before you go, can I have Sydney, Katrina, and Lee once again give us a quick synopsis, quick summary of CIKGU ASSOM, The Last Day, JAMIN, and Love is Never Too Late.
CIKGU ASSOM The Last Day is a vlog-style documentary about the last day of a teacher, a very respected teacher in Saratok, on the last day of his almost 30 years of service. So this is where he reminisce what happened and recontextualize his whole experience in teaching and trying to move on to retirement. That's it.
Next up, we have Katrina.
So Jamin is a documentary, a day in the life of a piece of land art and the harvesting process that we went through to produce the land art. It's filmed in Kampung Kilimu in Sabah, and it tells the story of the land art piece we did, spelling the word Jamin, which in Malay means guarantee. It's based on an oath stone, which was created on the formation of Malaysia. And on that oath stone, which is in Kiningau in Sabah, there were the words, the Malaysian government Jamin, Kerajaan Malaysia Jamin, the freedom of religion in Sabah, land right authority in Sabah, and native customs and traditions in Sabah. And then 20 years later, the plaque disappeared. And when it was replaced, the word Kerajaan Malaysia Jamin had disappeared. And so the land art is a question of when a guarantee disappears, the land remembers. And those promises were promises made to the people and the land.
Great. And Love is Never Too Late.
Yeah, the love is never too late actually start from a son currently working in KL. So during the Chinese New Year, so all the colleagues go back home already. So he's alone. And then during lunchtime, he go for eat a cup noodle. That cup noodle actually is from the local Sarawak product. So and then he remembered that his parents actually waiting for him to go back home. So after that, he decided to go back and then eat dinner together with his family. That is the story.
That concludes our Talk Tech Talk session today. Once again, a huge thank you to our guests today for their time and insights, and to our audience joining us at Watch Movie Not Film Festival Talk Tech Talk 2024. We hope you enjoyed the discussion like I do and gain some valuable perspective and backstory behind each of our filmmakers and creators' work today. So give them a round of applause.